Hey, Jet fans, what's going on? Real quick video here. Obviously, Monday night's game just got a little more interesting with the news. CJ Mosley told reporters he plans to play Monday night. I know he did some drills today, and the plan is to go full practice tomorrow. So if all goes according to plan, the Jets will have Mosley back out there, which would be huge. Just having the quarterback of your defense going up against Brady and Belichick, you want to have as many weapons out there as possible. We know CJ Mosley's a difference maker, so hopefully he plays, and we get some luck on our side for once. Some of the other guys, Henry Anderson, Nate Hairston, I think they're still up in the air. They might try and go tomorrow. And then I think it's looking less favorable with Kelvin Beachum, which leaves a lot of questions as far as how the Jets are going to handle this offensive line. I know there's the possibility of moving Alex Lewis over from guard to tackle. I don't think they're going to go in that direction just because, Osemele, it's a long-term injury with the shoulder surgery, and Alex Lewis, he's been playing great at guard, so, possibly even the best Jets offensive lineman over the last couple weeks. So I think you could definitely, just plug him in there for the rest of the season, kind of leave him alone. I know you do have Jonathan Harrison, who's capable of playing guard, which is another option, but I think they're going to leave Lewis alone since he's played well. The same kind of goes for Chuma Edoga, a guy who's played well at right tackle, replaced Brandon Shell, so you can make an argument that if he's the better tackle, you might want him on the left side, but this is also going to be his third start. I think he only played right tackle when he was at USC. I know they did give him some looks at left tackle in training camp, but I think that would be asking a lot out of Edoga, for his third start to go up against the Patriots defense at left tackle, a position he hasn't played at in the NFL. So I would think that they're just going to go with Brandon Shell and try to give him all the help that he needs, whether it's Trayvon Wesco or Ryan Griffin right next to him, helping to block, or having a running back chip, or doing something, trying to give him some help. Because Edoga's played well and Lewis has played well, and I don't think they want to tinker around with too many guys and start changing things. So we'll see what happens. I'm obviously excited for Monday night. I think having Mosley out there and just the way Darnold played last week, the way the offense looked last week, I think the Jets are going to have a good chance in this one. I'm not saying they're going to win, but competitive football against the New England Patriots on Monday night, I think that would be something that a lot of fans would be fired up to see. So we'll see what happens with that. And just really quickly, looking at the trade deadline. So this is something I wanted to get into, and we kind of talked about it a little bit on Tuesday night's show. Trade deadline's coming up, and the Jets and Joe Douglas have a lot of interesting decisions that they have to make. And I think the first one's going to be obviously with Leonard Williams. He's a guy that I know fans have been on him all year. He's a good player, not a great player. $9, $10, $11 million per year maybe. Probably not that $15 million a year guy. I don't know what his contract demands are, but a lot has to go into this as far as what you can get back in a trade, what his contract demands are, whether or not you view him potentially being here long-term as someone that can help Quinnen Williams, and create a dominant defensive line, or do you view guys like, Kyle Phillips and Fatukasi and, maybe even Nathan Shepard when he comes back from his suspension as guys that are much more affordable that, can do what Leonard Williams can do, and also allow you to use that money on other spots that you need, offensive line, edge rusher, cornerback, whatever it may be. So I think that's ultimately the big decision that they have to make. And it's not that you have to trade him now. If teams are only offering a 4th or a 5th round pick, I wouldn't just dump him because you still have the possibility of getting a comp pick back. But again, that's something also that Joe Douglas has to be looking ahead as far as what his offseason plan is going to be. If the Jets potentially have $75 million in cap space, which they could have, depending on some moves that they make, if they have that much money, they're going to be signing some free agents, and I'm pretty sure that offsets any guys that you potentially lose. So it wouldn't just be, we lose Leo and we get the comp pick back. It's not that simple. So there's a lot that has to go into it, and I think that they just have to look at the whole picture and what's best for the long term. If they don't see Leo being here long term, or his contract demands are too high, or they're genuinely just not impressed with the impact that he makes, then you got to move on. Otherwise, if you think that, he fits what the Jets are trying to do defensively, and you think that he can make other guys better, like Jordan Jenkins, like Quinnen Williams, like, whoever the next edge rusher that we bring in is, if you think he can have that kind of impact and his demands aren't too high, then hopefully you can hammer something out soon, and not let it get to, free agency. Maybe he finishes the year strong and suddenly the demands skyrocket. There's just a lot that can go into it, and I'll keep saying that. But you got to be smart and got to obviously plan ahead and have some kind of plan, for what you want to do and how you want to address it, because you don't want to just let him walk and get nothing. So we'll see what happens. And then Jordan Jenkins, he's another guy, free agent at the end of the year. I've been high on Jordan Jenkins ever since training camp, ever since they drafted him really, but especially this year in training camp when he showed up, 8.5% body fat, looked faster, looked stronger, looked quicker. And he's the ultimate team guy. You never hear a word about him, as far as, him saying something negative, doing something negative on the field, off the field. He's the kind of locker room guy that you want. So I don't know what his contract demands are either. I know last year he had 7 sacks. the 2 games he's played this year, he's had sacks in both of them. I could definitely see him being that 9 to 10 sack guy. I don't think he's, a 14, 15 sack guy, the dominant edge rusher that we're missing, but I think he's a guy that could start opposite that dominant edge rusher and really be successful. So hopefully Jordan Jenkins is in the plans long term. I know he's not a Joe Douglas guy, but still I want him here long term. Problem is, what are his contract demands? Again, how much are you paying him based off of the small sample size that we've seen so far, at least in this system with Greg Williams and everything like that. So another decision Joe Douglas has to make. If the demands are too high, or maybe you don't see him as a part of your future, then you kind of have to gauge the trade market. The same goes for Robbie Anderson, the last guy, at least the last impact guy that's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Robbie Anderson, him and Darnold have had great chemistry together, something that you have to be very cautious about, breaking that up, with a young quarterback and a young wideout, giving them the opportunity to grow together. I know Robbie has struggled in a lot of his games without Sam in there, but ultimately you hope that your quarterback is going to be healthy and you want to give him as many weapons that he can succeed with as possible. And, he's definitely developed his route tree, doing some routes underneath while still being that dominant deep threat. So even when teams are looking for it, you can still find him deep and he can still take one to the house, which says a lot. That teams are obviously planning for it. They know they have to take him away, but when Sam is in there, they still find ways to hook up and connect. So, I think for all 3 of those guys, I would obviously lean probably Jordan Jenkins and then Robbie Anderson as the 2 that they not necessarily have to keep, but if they keep producing when they're on the field, I think it would be foolish to just get rid of young players. We're going to have the money to bring them back. It's just a question, again, like I keep saying, of how much they want and, how much you value them. So, lots of questions with this team, and, I'll keep saying it. I think it's pretty much all going to come down to what happens Monday night. If you get your doors blown off by the Patriots, the team's probably in sell mode. If you play a competitive game, but you still lose, I don't know. But if you win, there's no way you could be in sell mode. I'm not saying you have to be buyers, but if you win, you're 2-4, and the schedule is really not that daunting. In fact, it's rather easy. If you look at the quarterbacks that they're going to be playing, it should be rather easy. I know there's some tough defenses in there, but you got to trust Sam, you got to trust this offense, and you got to trust your defense to hammer away all these other quarterbacks that we're going to be facing, and Gardner Minshew and whoever the Steelers quarterback is. I know Rudolph's back. You got the Giants in there, you got the Redskins in there. You got a lot of winnable games. So if you somehow find a way to win this one, or even just play competitive, where you could walk away saying, we lost by only 3 points against New England, it would be very tough to be sellers. So I think all of this comes down to, how, like I keep saying, how much they value these guys, how much you can get back, and what's in the best interest long term for the team. So talk to you guys tomorrow night. I'm sorry this was kind of a long video. I was rambling a little bit at the end, but we'll talk to you guys tomorrow night previewing Jets Pats, and I'm sure I'll try and get a Jets Pats preview in here before the end of the week. So again, talk to you guys soon. Go Jets.